telling your story. So why is this important? For you, brand new, your story is the most important, most powerful tool that you have. Because everybody's got a story. And the story will allow you to connect with more prospects, will allow you to connect with more potential distributors, more potential customers than any other thing. It'll build rapport more than any other thing does. You don't have to have much skill in order to be able to tell your story. But you need to tell your story. What most people who fail in network marketing, here's what they do. They tell the company story. They tell their upline story. They try to give the facts. They try to pretend they're an expert. You ever tried that one? Right? You've been eating bad your whole life and you get involved in a nutrition company. Now you try to pretend you're a nutritionist. It does not work well. Those of you in nutrition understand. Right? So you go out there and you're trying to give facts. Let me tell you this, let me tell you that, let me tell you this, let me tell you that. And you can't win the fact game. Because for every fact you know, there's 10 you don't. And they're going to get you. Every time, once you start the fact game, they're going to say, well, what's the sweetener? They haven't looked at an ingredient label in years, but they want to know the sweetener now. Really? You know, people, and you're like, oh, that sucked. Okay, next. So forget about facts. Our goal here is to, remember I showed you what I did to bring somebody to a meeting? I didn't tell them any of the facts. I just brought them there and let the thing do it. And let me give you something for your notes. If your lips are moving, you need to be pointing, reading, introducing, or telling a story. Write that down. If your lips are moving, you need to be pointing, reading, introducing, or telling a story. My mom will listen to you more than she listens to me. Your mom will listen to me more than she's going to listen to you. Third party is more effective than first party. You try and give the facts, give the facts, give the facts. You can attack the messenger, and it's over. But it has more credibility if I can point. Somebody asks a question and say, well, it's right here in this brochure. Somebody asks another question. Well, let me introduce you to this person. Or if I tell a story, it's hard to argue with a story. They can argue with the facts, the ingredients, let me tell you the history of everything, right? Some people get involved in, some kind of a health company. They put on the lab coat practically. They start giving all the stuff because they fell in love with it. So they're trying to, give people seminars. People aren't really interested in seminars. But they love a story. So we're going to talk about tools. Anytime you have a video that will tell the story, an event's the best. Anytime you have, a link, anything that you can do. But a story is universal. Every one of you has a story, and the story will do more for you than you can possibly imagine. And there's 4 parts to every person's story. Part number 1 is your background. Give me some backgrounds. What's your background? Anybody? A teacher, what? Military. Police officer. Construction, education. An engineer. Sorry? A what? A film industry. Computer repair. A rancher, insurance. You see, everybody's got one. All of you have one, right? Now, the background could be, I've been a homemaker. Background could be I was a student. Background could be, I'm looking to have a background. I'm just getting started. Whatever it is, right? So your background. And your background connects you to people, connects you to your audience. and it makes you relatable, right? And even if you know the person, you say, you know, my background is this and this and this, right? That's part one. Part two, what you didn't like about it. That's usually a mixed bag. There's some of you that enjoyed what you do or what you've done. There's certain satisfaction in it. But there's also something that caused dissatisfaction, something you didn't like. Maybe you weren't fairly paid. Maybe the hours were tough. Maybe it was hard on your body. Maybe you weren't appreciated. Maybe you were tired of the politics. You know, whatever that happens to be. Okay? So what you didn't like, what caused dissatisfaction in you. The third is that you found a solution. You found something. That could be your product, it could be your company, it could be network marketing. You found something. And fourth is how you feel about the future. So now, when I get up in the morning, now I'm excited about where I'm going. Now, I got the wind at my back again. Now, I got a fire in my belly. Now, I see the way that I can live the life I always wanted to live. Now, I have a way to give back. Now, I'm excited. So here's what I'm going to do for this course. What I'd like to do is I'm going to show you a video of an exercise that I do to show you the power of how to tell your story, teach you how to tell your story. I want you to watch that video, and when we come back, we're going to talk about it and take it to the next step. So go ahead and roll the video. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to stand up and find someone who speaks your language that you do not know. It's very important that you don't cheat with this. Don't go to your friend next to you and let's pretend we don't know each other. Don't do that. Okay? So find somebody you do not know, and I want you to tell your story to each other. Following these 4 steps that you wrote down, use it as a little cheat sheet. We'll put it up on the screen so you can see the 4 during this. I want you to go through the 4 steps, tell them your background, what you didn't like, the solution that you found, and how you feel about the future, and then reverse it so the other person does it back to you, okay? Now you have 4 minutes to do this, 4 minutes to find a person, tell the story back and forth. Are you ready? Set, go. All right, give yourselves a big round of applause, everybody. Go ahead and sit down. Go ahead and sit down. Okay, what did you learn? Give me some observations. Those of you who did this exercise, what did you learn? Anyone? Anyone who can tell me in English? Yes, what did you learn?
I learned from Mateo that he's very happy now that he has this possibility to be...
No, give me more observations of the exercise. What was it like to share your story? What did you learn by sharing your story and having somebody share theirs? Not exactly their details, just the process.
It's nice to see that we all feel free.
It's nice to see that we're all kind of the same, right? Did you notice that you have similarities with the other person? How many people notice that you have something similar with the other person? How many people were surprised that you actually could make a connection with another human being that fast? Within a few minutes. Especially guys. Women do this naturally. They'll go into the bathroom and they'll come out best friends. Guys, we struggle with this. What else did you learn? Was this hard or easy? Easy. It's not hard. Will you get better with practice? Yes, you'll get better with practice. Yes.
You can live your dream.
You can live your dream. How many people felt it was interesting? It felt good for someone to listen to your story? Was it good? How many people felt honored that someone was willing to share their story with you?
Same.
How many people felt as they were sharing the story that you wanted to hear more? Anyone? Interesting, right? Any other observations? Any other observations? How many people found yourself wanting to help the other person? Anybody feel like you wanted to help the other person when they were telling their story? Interesting. Now, will you please put up the 4 questions again, or the 4 parts again, up on the screen? Production guys? Can you throw up what's up on the Elmo? There you go. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Which one of these is the most important? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Background, what you didn't like, the solution, or how you feel about the future? Now, how many people feel, and there is an answer, it's not all of the above. How many people feel like it's number 1? Show of hands. Almost no one. How many people feel like it's number 2? Show of hands. How many people feel like it's number 3, the solution? Show of hands. How many people it's number 4? How you feel about the future? Show of hands. Most people feel like it's number 4. Guess what it is? Number 2. Number 2 is by far the most important. Let me explain why. Nobody cares how cool you are. Nobody cares about your future. Nobody cares about all your accomplishments, and nobody cares about your dreams, all that stuff. Guess what they care about? Guess when they build a relationship with you? When you share your pain. When you share your vulnerability. When you share your heartache. When you share your challenges. That's when you become a human being. That's when they trust you. We've been taught through our lives to never share our weakness. To share weakness is death. That's what we've been taught. But in our business, we're in a relationship business. In order to build rapport and build relationship, people need to understand that you're willing to be vulnerable with them. And here's what I will tell you. If you're willing to be vulnerable with another person and share your real pain, they're going to be willing to drop all of the pretense and share theirs with you. And now you have the basis of a real relationship, a real conversation. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to do this exercise again. Okay? And I want you to find a new person that you do not know. It's very critical that you use a person that you do not know and you don't cheat with this. Don't cheat yourself with this process. Play like a pro. I want you to do the 4 things again, but this time I want you to put more emphasis on number 2. I want you to be raw and honest and authentic and real about the things that you've struggled with, that your challenges in your background. Be honest with it. Doesn't need to be longer. It just needs to be more authentic. Okay, you prepared to do that? All right, you have 4 minutes. Ready, set, go. Thirty seconds. And okay, give yourselves a big round of applause, everybody. Find your seats, please. You've now done this twice. Who has some observations? Anybody have any observations about this second time? Willing to share? Yes. It's more comfortable. second time? How many people felt more comfortable the second time? Yes? What other observations? Yes? Anyone? What did you learn? Yes? You need to listen more. Listening is powerful, isn't it? Maybe even asking some more questions about it is helpful. Yeah. Sometimes when it's all about you, you need to make it a little bit about them. People love to tell their story if you give them an opportunity. What else did you learn? Anyone? Yes? You feel more connection. How many people felt more connection this time than the first time? Because you shared your pain. You shared a little bit more of your real self. So you can build a relationship with a person fast through that kind of conversation versus, oh, I'm so cool, I'm so amazing. What else did you learn? Any other observations? Anyone? Yes. It's easier the second time. You know, the average doctor will spend 18,000 hours of practice in order to get good at what they're doing. You just practice twice. Okay? If you learn to tell your story over and over and over, you're going to do better. You'll refine it.
I felt more confidence to talk.
You felt more confident the second time. Yes. Build your confidence and build your posture all of a sudden.
Also to talk my story.
To tell your story, yes. Exactly. So if you're willing to do this over and over, you feel more comfortable, feel more rapport. Did it feel like a sales pitch? Did it feel salesy? No. When somebody was telling their story to you, did you feel uncomfortable? No, not really. It was simple. It was real. Even though you were talking about your solution, how you feel about the future, that's fine. When you talked about your background and what you didn't like about it, that was the thing that really opened the door for you to be able to listen to them. Now, throw up the 4 parts again. I'm going to ask you to do this one more time. This time, don't leave your seat. I just want you to do it with the person sitting next to you. Okay? But this time, all you get to do, hold on, all you get to do is 3 and 4. You don't get to talk about your background and you don't get to talk about what you didn't like. All you get to talk about is your solution and how you feel about the future, okay? That's all you get to do. No matter how much anybody asks, you have to only do 3 and 4. Okay? You ready? Stay in your seats and go ahead and do it. Set, go. All right, stop. All right, how did that feel? Not good. Give me some observations. It missed something. What else? Huh? It's still okay, but it's not as good. How many people felt like it was pushy? Like it was salesy? Right? Awkward. How many people felt like you didn't kind of know how to start? Felt a little strange? Yes?
We are women, it's not our problem.
Yes, I understand. What other observations with this? Any other observations? Yes. It became very skeptical. You're like, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? Now, I want you to understand something. What I just had you do is what most of you have been doing your whole career. And that's how you've been making people feel. By talking about the solution that you found and how you feel about the future. Now understand, 3 and 4 were the same 3 and 4. And if you just do 3 and 4, you have people skeptical, people resistant, people pushing away, people not wanting to listen, people saying, not for me, not asking questions like, no, I'm out. But if you do your background and how and what you didn't like about your background, now they're moving forward. Yes, tell me more. Yes, I'm interested. Yes, I want to help. You feel the difference? It's all the difference in the world. If you'll do all 4, your results are going to triple immediately. Immediately. People are going to go from pushing away from you to walking towards you, wanting to be connected with you, if you'll do this. How many people learned something about your story, your own story, that you didn't know prior to this or hadn't been communicating? Anyone? Yes, just learning to tell your story. Some of you haven't told it to anyone. Your family doesn't know your story, really. You never even really thought about your story, really. So it's so important. This is critical. The strongest people in network marketing are the people who tell the story the best. Take a look at your career level 8 people, and they're just incredible storytellers. That's what they are. They learn to tell stories. They tell their own story. They tell other people's stories. That's what they do all day, every day, all day, every day. Story. That's what tells you, gives the facts better than anything else can do. Okay? All right, I'm going to ask you to do it. Remember, a doctor does 18,000 hours of practice. If you're exhausted after 3 times, we might have to question you a little bit. I want you to find one more stranger that you do not know, and I want you to pour your heart out. I want you to give them all 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Don't cheat with a friend, and do it the 4th time. Do it for real, okay? One last time before before I finish this session. Stand up, find a partner, ready, go. Okay, Now, why do I ask you to do this 4 different times? Here's why. The reason why I ask you to do this 4 different times is this is what we do. This is the business we've chosen. We are in the business of telling stories. In the business of communicating and building rapport and relationship with other people. We need to learn to do this. We need to learn to open ourselves up. Whether you're introverted or extroverted, this is part of what we do. Every day we get out there and we talk to people. When we say, well, what do I say to them? I don't know what to say. Just tell them your story. When you go buy a new pair of shoes, they say, well, hold on a second. Let me just tell you my story while you're finding my size. When you're looking at a new car, let me tell you my story. When you're eating at a restaurant, let me tell you my story. When you meet somebody and you're out having a drink, let me tell you my story. And when you tell your story, what's that going to make them want to do? Tell you their story back. And now you have a beginning of a conversation. You have something to be able, as a foundation, to see if there's a fit between what you have to offer and what they might need. Our stories. All right. So here's the lesson here. The lesson here is to work on your story, practice it, and tell it to as many people as possible. Tell it to most of your family doesn't know your story. They really don't. Your close friends don't know your story. People on your team don't know your story. Your company owners probably don't know your story. Not really. Not in the way that I just described it. Tell it to your dog. Tell it to your cat. Tell it every single opportunity you get. Practice it with your friends, but then tell it. Now, here's the challenge I want to give to all of you. I would like you to set a goal to tell your story 100 times in the next 30 days. It only takes less than 2 minutes to tell your story. 2 minutes, 3 times a day for 30 days, and you'll tell your story. 33 days, okay. You'll get that story out. You tell the story 100 times, your life, it's going to become part of you. Every time you do a call, you're going to tell your story. Every time you sit down with somebody, you're going to tell your story. Every time you have a little home meeting, you're going to tell your story. Every time you get on a training, you're going to tell your story. This is critical because the story is the one thing for brand new people. It's the one thing that you can do that doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to have every answer. It doesn't have to have all the facts. It's just you telling your story. And I promise you, the biggest lesson is it gives an opportunity for you to build rapport with another human being. They will care more about you after you tell the story. They'll want to hear more after you tell. They'll want to help after you tell the story versus wanting to run away.